I've got news on College Football 26's Road to Glory mode and Madden 26's Superstar mode, plus how they work together this year. And there are some big changes this year that I honestly love, along with some things that I'm still confused as to why we don't actually have them yet. Did you also know that 65% of the people who watch my videos aren't actually subscribed yet? If you've been enjoying my breakdowns, help me reach 300,000 subs by the end of 2025 by subscribing today. It's free. We're going to cover College Football 26's Road to Glory mode first, and when you start this mode, it's pretty similar to last year. The creation of your character allows you to select either an elite, which is a 5-star, a blue chip, which is a 4-star, a contributor, which is a 3-star, or an underdog, which is a 2-star. If you start as an elite 5-star prospect, you're going to have 1 gold and 1 silver ability. If you are a 4-star or the blue chip prospect, you get 1 silver ability. If you are a contributor and underdog, you don't really get any abilities out there. You got to just go out there and prove yourself. Now, the ability that you're actually going to start with is going to be determined by the archetype that you end up choosing. So a pocket passer quarterback, for example, begins with step up and dot, while a pure runner is going to start with magician and workhorse. Now, just because you start as a 5-star doesn't mean you can't finish as a 2-star in high school, and just because you start as a 2-star doesn't mean you can't climb all the way to a 5-star. EA is really saying that maintaining this sort of top rating, or the rating that you have, is going to require near perfection if you want to be a 5-star the whole way through. Now, after you figured out what type of prospect you want to be, next up you're going to be choosing your position. And to me, this is a little frustrating because we have quarterback, halfback, wide receiver, Mike or middle linebacker, and then corner. And these are the same ones we had last year. We're actually not seeing any ability to play safety, any ability to play edge here, maybe tight end. There's just a lot of different positions that people have asked for that we don't even have. Heck, I still want a kicker. I think a kicker Road to Glory or Superstar mode would be incredible. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos talking about college football, they've actually done a lot of work on the archetype system this year, and it's been pretty much overhauled. I do think the archetype system is a lot better right now. So if, for example, if you become a halfback, you're going to have 6 different archetypes to choose from. You could be an east-west playmaker, which is kind of like that shifty back who can kind of create space and generate big play moments, or an elusive bruiser who combines agility in the open field with downhill physicality. Kind of think of, a Derrick Henry, for example. Depending on the archetype you choose, you're going to have your own starting attributes, skill group caps, and a curated set of physical abilities that are tailored to your style of play that you've chosen. And not only do these actually impact how you play, they are actually going to have a direct impact on your recruiting path as well. There are going to be schools that are more or less interested in you because of the archetype you actually chose, because you may or may not fit their actual scheme. So if you're somebody who wants to go have a super hard mode as a 2-star and go play for Army or Navy, don't select a pocket passer, because they are not going to care about you at all. But the interesting thing here is that just because maybe your archetype doesn't fit, you could still technically earn their interest. You just have to work significantly harder to do so. After your archetype, it's all about choosing where you were from. And this isn't really going to be just a cosmetic decision that you're actually making here. It's going to influence your recruiting. If I chose Virginia, for example, I have a higher chance to have schools like JMU, Virginia Tech, or UVA show interest to me because those are the in-state schools. And just like you're recruiting when you're doing it in Dynasty mode, focusing on that local talent is going to be more beneficial, so they're going to look at the local talent a lot more before they go out of state. After that, you're going to want to set your high school name and your mascot. Now, there are 6 presets you can ultimately choose from that have their own uniforms, logos, and colors, but you can also be a little bit more interesting if you want to go ahead and use a team builder team. So you can download a team builder team, or you can even grab one of your own, and you can actually import that to be your high school. I personally recommend checking out my Cascade Valley Coyotes and maybe making them your team, or use your own high school. It's whatever you choose. After you finish selecting your team and your high school and figuring all that portion out, you can actually go ahead and do your appearance and your style. Now, there's the new lean body type, which I think is going to help a lot more for those long, wiry athletes, which are pretty much all high school athletes are, except for the crazy ones out there. And once you can do that, get all your equipment that you want set up, and there's also some really cool player styles that are incorporated this year. So if you're a QB, there's over 40 different throwing styles. You can also select how your player runs, carries the ball. If you want to carry it like a loaf of bread, you can do that in the game, and how they line up for the pre-snap. You can actually have whether you're clapping to call for the snap and shotgun, crouching like your Jalen Hurts out there, tight under center. There's a lot of different animations that I think help separate your player a lot. And yes, if you're a halfback, you can stand straight up just like Ashton Genty. When it's all said and done, you get a final look at your actual player. You get to just kind of figure out a little bit of an interview here to see maybe what motivates you, what you're looking for in an actual school, and that's going to kind of help map, your school grades that you're kind of aligned to. But with all that said and done, it's really about focusing on building your tape, doing the stuff on the field that really is what's going to get you recruited. There is something really cool they've added this year, though, which is about how the recruiting process happens for you as an actual player. Now, each school that you're going to be competing to try to get an offer from is going to set a scholarship threshold, and to earn that offer, you have to have sort of an assessed assessed tape score that you have to meet or exceed. Now, if you're out here wondering, well, what the heck is an assessed tape score, because we haven't really had that before, well, just keep in mind this is going to vary actually from school to school, but it's really a view of how they view your skill set and how it aligns with what they're looking for at that particular position. This isn't actually going to be a static number or score, and it's going to be shaped by a couple of different things here, like team prestige, scheme fit, your motivations, proximity to campus, team needs, and your answers in scenarios and other off-the-field decisions. I think it's really cool that in this year's game, you can actually view how each individual school is going to view you from an overview tab, and you can see your assessed tape score, projected role, current depth chart on their actual squad, and head coach boosts and tendencies that could honestly impact and help your career as well. I think the coolest part about Road to Glory this year is that you're actually competing for offers against different recruits in a 4,100 player recruiting class. That means that things are about to get spicy. From the recruiting tab, you can actually look and see which prospect the school is actually pursuing. And I think the really interesting thing here is that if another player commits at your position to that school, your assessed tape score might actually no longer be enough. It could even be impossible to get an offer. They could even pull your offer entirely off the table. Now, as for you, you actually have a board of teams that you can sort of swap around a little bit. You're allowed up to 10 schools on your list, and you can add, remove, or swap these schools out based on your evolving recruiting picture whenever you see fit. When you're browsing to try to figure out if you want to add or swap maybe a school out at that point, you can again view a program's full assessment of your tape score to see where you stand before you kind of make a decision, and you can reorder your board at any time using the right trigger or R2 if you're on PlayStation to kind of see where things are in your mind. It's not just about what you're doing though, because you have to remember seniors are going to graduate, new recruits are going to commit, coaches are going to change jobs out here, and players are going to enter the transfer portal, and all of this is going to reshape the college landscape by the time you're actually ready to commit. Now, going back to when it comes to on the field and what you have to do, your high school schedule or high school gameplay is going to be only 5 games, which I think is a little bit of a bummer. I was hoping we could play the entirety of the schedule, but hopefully, again, if feedback is loud enough, we'll be able to move past that. But you are essentially allowed 5 games here, and each are made up of 4 key moments that are designed to showcase your skill set in a particular way. And these moments are going to put you in different scenarios or drive specific goals that you have to do, like leading a go-ahead scoring drive or flipping field position after being pinned deep. And if you can do those in that time, then you're going to be in a much better spot. Most drives you're going to get are going to have 2 goals. There's a more basic goal and then kind of a harder goal that rewards more tape score if you actually complete it. Some drives may actually only give you a singular high-stake goal and offering a significant tape score boost if you can actually rise to the occasion and complete it. And they're really your chance to kind of prove yourself and show that you can execute in these big-time situations. What I like that they did here, though, is that each week's set of moments are built around a theme tied to the actual archetype that you choose when you're creating your player. And they're sort of designed to measure your proficiency in your position and your ability to attack different defensive schemes, coverages, and players that kind of challenge you along the way. So if you choose, again, a pocket passer, you could be tested with a shutdown corner one week, maybe a blitz-heavy defense the following week. But across every single archetype here, there are more than 700 unique moments that are going to actually be in the game. It's also important to keep in mind that the schools that you're sort of trying to figure out if you're going to go play there, or maybe see if they're interested in recruiting you, they're going to value things differently based on their actual schemes. Some schools are going to place a higher weight on pocket presence and poise under pressure, while other schools want to see your mobility and see you just sort of improvise a bit. And you're going to notice this by sort of a tape score boost that can be applied. You can see them range from a 1 times to a 3 times, depending on how much they value the situation you're actually placed in when you're going to choose these. What's nice here is that you can actually select the moment you want to compete in, and it's kind of critical to take the situation that you're walking into as well as the top schools you're actually interested in when you're evaluating that. You really want to focus on being able to complete a moment here. That's the most important thing, but you also want to balance that with looking at what your top school values highly, because that can really make or break your chance of earning a scholarship from them. But each week you will choose 4 moments for that week, and once you've done that, it's time to go to the field, figure out if you can actually hit these goals, and hopefully impress the schools you're looking at. When you are on the field, you're going to have access to your full playbook, and that's customized to your actual archetype. So a pure runner is going to see more quarterback design runs, a pocket passer is going to have more plays that are kind of stretching the field throughout the air, and at the line of scrimmage, you're going to have full control with your pre-snap adjustments like your audibles, hot routes, and pass protection shifts. Every drive goal you have is going to be in the top right corner of your screen, so you don't really have to worry about losing that at any point. And if you're matched up against a key player on the opposing team, you're going to see a rival above their head, which is just helping you call out, the top star linebacker, shutdown corner, elite receiver, whatever your opposing player is, you're going to be able to see that pretty easily. After the end of each individual moment, you're going to get a drive summary. It's going to break down your performance, your total tape score for the game, all the goals you completed or maybe did not complete at that point, how many moments actually remain, and any team impacts you actually created. Team impacts can work actually for or against you. For example, scoring a touchdown increases your team's chance of winning and provides you with additional tape score. But conversely, throwing an interception, fumbling, taking a sack hurts your team's chances and reduces your tape score, even if you completed your core objectives. If you're playing on any difficulty other than Heisman, you'll have the option to restart a moment from the summary screen. The number of retries available is going to scale with the difficulty that you actually choose, rewarding players who take greater challenges. But if you are in Heisman, you can't restart at all. That is hard mode. As you're working through this mode, your final star rating is going to have pretty major consequences for you. It's going to have a direct impact on the strength of the scholarship offers you receive, and it also determines your starting attributes and abilities once you do reach college. So if you finish as a 4 or 5-star recruit, you also unlock the ability to select an additional mental ability before leaving high school, a final edge to kind of, help you get over the hump. Each week, you're going to have different high school scenarios, and these could be with college coaches, classmates, or even off-the-field challenges that approach. A coach could reach out with strong interest, kind of pitching their program and explaining why they think you're the right fit, but they also could tell you that they're no longer recruiting you or that you're not the right fit after all. But when these coaches reach out, you kind of have a couple of choices to make here. You could call them out as your current favorite, which is going to help increase your chances with that school, but at the cost of maybe lowering interest from the other programs that are looking at you too. Or you could even publicly signal you're no longer interested, which absolutely tank your odds with that school, but giving a boost to the other schools that are maybe still on your board. Everything you're doing in high school, though, is going to make things rise or fall. A coach's interest in you can change week to week. They might even adjust their messaging, which is, talking about their program by pointing to a winning season. There could be a dip in your school's top performance or the prestige of the university compared to other options. Like, they're going to really pitch everything they can. And similar to what you saw in the college version of College Football 25 last year, you're going to engage with your classmates, and there might be questions about, do you want to study for an upcoming standardized test? How you want to do that? How you're preparing for events like homecoming, how you respond to these moments, again, with coaches and your peers are going to positively or negatively impact how programs view you across the board. One of my favorite things that I've seen so far in Road to Glory is that coaches can actually reach out to you and give you a challenge directly, and that's going to really require a lot from you here. Road to Glory this year is calling these highlight moments, and I think they're some of the most intense. They're high risk, high reward, and they are worth it in my opinion. When you attempt a highlight moment, the requesting school is going to apply a 6 times tape score modifier, which is double the standard of the highest one you can get from a normal moment. And if you pull this off, the reward is massive. It can shoot you up that school's board. It could reignite interest if you were falling behind or maybe another player had jumped ahead of you, or they could even upgrade their scholarship offer package. You can see these moments kind of take any form. It could be from throwing a perfect lob pass for a touchdown to hitting a deep 50-yard completion. The real key, though, is that, again, they are tailored to the school's values, and your success or failure of that moment is all going to be determining how that program views you in the future. Getting a scholarship in Road to Glory isn't really the end goal, it's just sort of the beginning here. When you get a scholarship offer, your next goal is to try to improve it, and the scholarship tiers are dynamic. They can go up or down based on how you're performing, how the school views you, and what's happening in the recruiting world around you, because again, you're competing with a ton of other players. Your star rating, though, is going to play a pretty big role here. If you are a 5-star prospect, you could receive the best possible starting offer from a program, but if your rating stars drop, they could downgrade your offer a little bit. What's also to note is that sometimes it has nothing to even do with you for how the scholarship package changes. The offer tier can actually change if a school signs another player at your position, so that means that your assessed tape score is going to increase, but the quality of the scholarship package itself may drop, which means that there could be a lot of dicey things that happen here. But we'll talk about what that could actually mean here in a second. Let's talk about what actually comes with a scholarship offer and a good scholarship offer. So if you're looking for a higher tier one, they could give you stronger starting values in your academics, your brand, leadership, and training meters. You can get additional XP. There's extra skill points available, even higher starting coach trust. Now, it's to note that these won't actually happen until you actually arrive on campus in college, but they are a big difference early on, especially if you're competing at a big-time program and trying to be a starter day one. And when you go to your recruitment tab, you can kind of compare each school's scholarship offer and see the best bonus they have in a particular area, which again makes this a really big situation for you to weigh and figure out which school is the right one for you. In Road to Glory in College Football 26, you can verbally commit to a school, and that's going to sort of help protect your scholarship and your bonuses that you have. What this is going to do is it's going to lock your offer in exactly as it stands, so your current bonuses are going to be locked in. The good news is that once you commit, your offer can actually get worse, but the bad news is it cannot actually get better. The only way the school's offer could technically change is if you decommit. Yes, you can decommit in Road to Glory in College Football 26, but if you decommit, it can come with consequences. If you back out, your tape score threshold required to earn a new offer from that school, well, it's going to increase enough to possibly even lose the offer entirely if you were just above that line. Your maximum potential bonus in that school is also going to decrease, so really you have to be careful about if you're going to verbally commit, make sure you're ready, because decommitting means going back to that school, the offer might not be as great. But to be fair, just because you have an offer doesn't mean that you're safe either, because this is a live recruiting class with a ton of different players, and if they sign another player at the position that you're playing, Your standing offer can fall, and poor scenario decisions or slumping performance when you're playing bad out there in the field, that can cause your value to drop and your offer can be revoked. Senior night is also in the game, and at the end of your high school season, you're going to get one last chance to leave it all out there on your senior night. You're going to get a special run out, you're going to have flowers in hand, you can kind of celebrate your final home game under the lights. But it's not just symbolic out there, it's your last chance to manage your top schools. And once this game wraps up, you have to officially announce your top 3 schools. This is one of the biggest decisions you're going to make in Road to Glory, because these are the 3 programs you're going to take with you into signing day. The hatch you'll kind of see on the table when it's time to make your ultimate college choice, so you need to choose very carefully on which schools you want to bring with you to the top 3. And signing day is pretty cool. You're going to go into your high school gymnasium, there are going to be hats laid out on the table for each school in your top 3. But how are you going to handle this one? It's not just one of those things where you can go and just quickly grab a hat. You could do that if you want to, I guess, but you could pick up a hat and throw it off the table. You could pick up a hat and put it back down. You can do whatever you essentially want here. There's a lot of flexibility. But ultimately, it's time to choose your school, and once you do, you'll get a nice little screen that shows you where you went to commemorate your journey. Now that you're officially in college, some of this will be familiar to you. Your big things here are making sure that you go to practice and earn coach trust, which is going to help you climb up the depth chart a little bit here. And then secondly, doing your weekly agenda, which is kind of how you spend your points here, whether it's your academics, your leadership, the weight room, whatever that may be. It's to make sure that you're doing the best possible stuff you can do to increase your overall rating. Even though the weekly agenda is back, there's also been some changes to it here in College Football 26. So now you'll have 5 energy points on a short week, 6 on a regular week, and 7 when you're on a bye week, which gives you a little bit more to flex your schedule outside. They've also kind of rebalanced how each meter works. They now rise and fall more dynamically based on your weekly decisions and energy use, so each choice is going to be a little bit more meaningful than it might have been last year. If you prioritize one area, that can mean sacrificing progress in another, which again is going to give you that natural push-pull that a real student athlete should be having. But if you paid attention to Dynasty mode, where I've talked about wear and tear and just gameplay in general, that is going to be also involved in this. So you need to be very careful about what you're doing on and off the field, because it's not just how well you play, it's about managing your body, taking care of your body so that you aren't having a short career and you can be the guy that you want to be out there. To walk you through this, you're going to have a season and a career health pool, and these are going to track how much wear and tear damage you're going to have to recover in a single season and across your entire career. When your season health pool is depleted, you are not going to be able to recover further until the off season, when your body kind of has a chance to heal. At the end of each season though, your pool is going to replenish, but not always to the same exact level. The size of next year's pool depends on how much of it was left intact at the end of the current season. So if you barely made it through and burned most of your recovery capacity, you could start next year with a much smaller pool. But if you're smart about how you actually treat your body, you can finish the year in good shape there, and you can start next season with a similar health pool to what you just had. But managing your career clock, I think, is going to be a much bigger thing. Every hit you're going to take in a game, every decision you kind of make with your weekly agenda about how hard you train, how much you're recovering each week, training too aggressively, all of those things are going to happen to maybe wear your body down a little bit more. The name, image, and likeness deals portion is coming back, and they said they've expanded that system with 35 new NIL deals, which should hopefully give us a wider range of partnerships that we can actually go out there and get. They've also completely rebalanced the NIL payouts, which should make deals much more meaningful and more rewarding than ever before. I think a lot of the NIL deals we got last year just really weren't that great. I think what's the most important here is that NIL deals in the game now can pay out skill points, which should give you a way more powerful path to progression outside of just your on-the-field performance. But just like last year, getting an NIL deal is going to still require energy, so you need to kind of balance how much energy you're spending on an NIL deal versus the other things that you need to do, whether it's in the classroom or keeping your coaches or your teammates happy. The scenarios and dilemmas are definitely returning this year, and they try to rebalance them a little bit more so that they're still fun and playful, but just have a little bit more impact here. As an added bonus, every single in-game coach challenge now awards XP, which means that your performance is getting rewarded a whole lot more, giving it a much more value. Coach Trust last year was a solid idea, but the execution I just didn't really love, and I'm glad they've taken a lot of feedback in this area. What they're viewing Coach Trust as now is a much more longer-term progression system that should reward you based on your consistent performance and your growth. So it's now about more than just winning at your position. As you earn more of it, you're going to unlock new abilities in the field, including greater access to the playbook and more control at the line of scrimmage. You can get play swaps, so get a new set of plays to choose from, which is what we saw last year, an increased number of plays, so start with 1 play to choose during play calling and work up to 2 plays, then 3, 6, 9, and 15, all the way to a full playbook access when you've achieved the max coach trust. You'll be able to unlock audibles, you'll be able to unlock hot routes, QB protections, which is going to be offense only, obviously, and then defensive adjustments, obviously for your defensive guys as well, adjusting the line and the linebackers. Position battles are also coming back in college football 26, and the score you need to beat actually scales on the position that you're actually battling for. I think we all did position battles last year, and they were unbelievably easy, and what EA's saying this year is that winning the starting job is a lot more difficult than it is to move from third string to backup. They're also introducing Coach Happiness this year, which again, we have our Coach Trust, but Coach Happiness is going to be a separate thing. You give Coach Happiness as a direct reflection of how your coach is feeling about you right now. It's a short-term, week-to-week system that kind of reacts to your in-game performance and what you do actually off the field. What's interesting though is they're saying it can make or break your spot on the actual depth chart. So it's going to fluctuate week to week and game to game. If it's high, you're going to progress through the Coach Trust a whole lot faster. If it drops too low, your Coach Trust obviously is going to slow a bit here, and you could begin to lose trust each week. And if things get bad enough, you could be benched or demoted entirely. And once you've actually lost your depth chart spot, you have to compete in a new position battle to earn it back. But your coach won't consider giving you another shot until your happiness rating has returned to neutral. Now, if you're wondering, well, what exactly affects Coach Happiness, there are 4 primary things that influence it here: your game performance, meters, scenarios, and practice. So for game performance, this is your biggest driver. You want to win games, make big plays, avoid mistakes, and your coach is going to be happy with you. But if you mess up repeatedly or underperform, at least it's going to get a little bit shorter. Players with a higher overall are going to have more room for error here. But if you're a fringe starter, you're not. And one bad game is not going to tank you. But if you stack a couple together, you're definitely going to feel the effects here. In regards to the meters, your GPA and your leadership rating is going to contribute each week based on your off-the-field actions. So a low GPA or poor leadership can hurt your coach happiness. If you aren't taking care of business in the classroom and you become academically ineligible, your coach will lose a significant amount of happiness. And not only will you be suspended, but you'll lose your spot entirely. The weekly off-the-field scenarios can shift your coach happiness based on the decisions you make with those. So if you're complimenting your coach in an interview or showing mastery of your playbook during a team meeting, you can earn a lot more favor with them. But if you're skipping class or get caught cheating or embarrass your program in some way, shape, or form, you're definitely going to take a hit. And then obviously we have practice. What you do in practice and how you perform in weekly practices is going to help out a lot there. If you don't get a medal, that's a small loss. Bronze, neutral, silver, or gold is going to be a small gain. But when it comes to game day in college, one of my favorite things is just watching your player run out of the tunnel, and you have this little camera that you can sort of move around with the right stick to look around in the crowd and see your player run out. And you know, it just makes, when your player's looking good out there and you got the right drip on, it just makes it even cooler. But you're also going to see a lot of things that players would see if they were running out just in general when you're watching them do that. So in Florida, you might touch the gator head. You're at LSU, you'll tap the wind bar. You're going to see all these little things that just build up to it. If you become the guy at the school you're playing at, you could actually see the fans holding signs with your name on them. And even crazier, you could have fans with your name painted across their chest. A change they also made this year when you're on the field is we have a per play grading system. So your performance is going to be tracked on a per play system, which is just a better reflection of how you're actually doing. And at the end of each game, your final grade is going to determine what rewards or technically consequences you actually earn. It could be followers, player XP, coach trust, or coach happiness. When it comes to progressing your player, when you earn all this XP, it's going to actually be a little bit different. So the skill group levels that we saw from last year were at 10. Now they've actually moved that grouping to 20, which means you're gonna have a lot more gradual development with your player across the board. And with sort of them rebalancing this, the cost of each upgrade at each level has been adjusted as well. The abilities have changed a little bit here too. So last year, for example, advancing an ability tier only required a single attribute rating, like hitting 95 toughness to get platinum workhorse. But now some abilities are going to require multiple attribute thresholds to reach the top tier versions of them. If you've watched my Dynasty video, you know that I've talked about the trophy room being back. Well, each Road to Glory character has their own trophy room, and it's going to be tied specifically to that player. Team-based trophies include full context, so season, team, opponent, and final score. But individual awards show your name, team, and the year you brought home that actual hardware. And if you're wondering about rivalry trophies, there are more than 160 rivalry bowl and individual trophies you can actually collect here. The college football history tab that you've seen in the Dynasty video, that is also making its way into the Road to Glory one. So as you break records or achieve awards or hit the most yards in certain categories, that will see your name etched in that same history book. And there's also 14 new authentic awards. They have the Maxwell Award and the Walter Camp Award, amongst many others now in the game. And finally, if you actually go to your own player hub, you can actually see the awards and things that you've done. So you can see things like Heisman trophies, conference championships, and national championships, All-American and All-Conference selections, how many times you've been National Conference Player of the Week, and your transfer history, just as you want to look back in your career. And of course, just like last year, you can take your Road to Glory player and move them into Madden 26 Superstar mode. So we covered a lot with college football, but now let's talk about the Superstar side of things in Madden. I'll preface this by saying while we did cover Road to Glory for college football first, I am extremely excited about Superstar mode in Madden because I think one of the developers that talked about, his name was DCast. The work that he's doing, I think for the future Superstar mode, has me incredibly excited. One of the big core features they're bringing is called career chapters, and just hear me out because I think this is going to change how you play and make you love Superstar mode again. I think for a lot of us, one of our biggest frustrations with Superstar mode is that if you played a quarterback or running back or wide receiver or whatever position you played, there was really no incentive to play it multiple times. It always felt the same over and over. You were getting the same kind of things and had the same experience as somebody else, but that should change in Madden 26 Superstar mode. One of the first career chapters they talk about in this is the backup experience. Now, it's easy to go out there and be the starter, but trying to work your way to be the starter is often a pretty big challenge that hasn't really been captured in this game before. The goal they had is that they wanted to capture the sense of the challenge and the backup experience that felt interactive, exciting, and hopefully even dramatic. Their goal, though, was that they didn't want us to be playing through these endless drills that we would have just week in and week out and just call it a day there. They wanted it to be a combination of things, but they ultimately said it should be a realistic game action intertwined with other meaningful opportunities to earn your look as the starter. So maybe there's a blowout happening and you get sort of mop-up duty and the coach gives you a couple of drives to showcase what you can do in a specific area of your skill set. Maybe the starter that's playing ahead of you gets banged up a little bit and you got an opportunity for a game or two to show what you can do. And if you can actually go ahead and do something just like a real NFL player would do in that same situation, maybe that's how you earn your starting job. There's also a career chapter around getting benched. So another big element I think in Superstar mode we've had is that you never really had the fear of being benched at all. You could throw 6 interceptions, you could fumble the ball a ton, you could miss every tackle, you could get scored on every time as a defensive back, but nothing ever happened to you. There's even a career chapter around demanding a trade, which I think we've all wanted. You're gonna have an opportunity to earn influence with your actual agent, and then you get the option to demand a trade at the end of every single season. If you're in a bad situation, you don't want to be there, maybe you got drafted to your rival team or a big time player left, demand a trade then. As long as you have enough influence with your agent, you're good to go. And they say it's pretty simple as just demanding the trade, picking a new team you want to go to, and your agent is going to figure out the rest of the details to get you on your way to your new destination before the next season starts. But changing that team is going to have a couple of consequences here. You may have to earn your starting job on the new team, and you have to build relationships kind of all over again with these new teammates. I realize that I've talked about chapters, but let's break down how it actually works. Moving through chapters is going to require you to earn influence with key characters that are in Superstar mode by hitting different objectives. They have a system in the game called the Sphere of Influence, and we'll talk about that more in a second here, but from the Superstar menu, you can always view your current chapter and the objectives you need to hit to reach the next chapter. So the chapter list they give us here is high expectations, move up on the depth chart, prove you belong, next steps, becoming a team leader, fan sensation, superstar, and Hall of Famer. And they have redemption chapters like find your footing, earn your spot back, and a step back. Now, Sphere of Influence we just talked about is a feature that kind of allows you to form relationships both on and off the field. And these are going to be unlocked organically, meaning the way you play is going to dictate who you bond with and to what extent you actually bond with them. And this is going to be impacted by the choices you make during your gameplay and how you spend your free time during the week. And balancing all these decisions is one of the greatest challenges, I think, in Superstar mode this year. You cannot please everyone, so deciding how you build and maintain each relationship is going to have a pretty big impact on your career. As a QB, is it best to quickly maximize your connection with wide receiver 1 while ignoring your third wide receiver? Would you rather let everyone eat from the beginning and bring all the wide receivers along at the same time? The way that you build a relationship with a character in the game is to gain influence points with them, and they can be earned by meeting objectives for each character, but on the other hand, you can also lose influence points with a character by doing something they don't like, which could also involve another character. But something as simple as not throwing to a star wide receiver is a great example of how you can lose influence very quickly with them. When you earn or lose influence points in the game, you're going to see an update either in-game or in the Superstar notification menu. You are going to find some characters in the game that do not have a negative side of their relationship, and you can only earn points with them. These tend to be more so the support characters that don't really have anything that really depends directly on your performance. When you maximize an influence level with a particular character, they kind of get moved to your inner circle. And at this point, you can no longer lose influence points with them, and you don't really have to worry about getting on their bad side at all. And getting these characters on your inner circle has another advantage here. For every character in your inner circle, you'll be given an influence modifier to everyone else in your sphere of influence. This means you earn influence points at a higher overall rate. The more friends you have, the easier it is to earn the trust of new ones. But the most important relationship you could possibly have, though, is going to be with your head coach. If you want playing time, you want to get more of your playbook, use pre-play commands, you have to have a good relationship and influence with them. You're going to do this by hitting different weekly objectives, achieving good player grades in the actual game, and that's going to keep your coach happy. But he is also the quickest character to lose confidence in you if things start going south. So those same privileges you discern with that coach, you can absolutely lose them very quickly, and you can also get demoted down the depth chart by doing that. With your teammates, a lot of this can be how you interact with them on the field and then also off of the field. Your teammate influence unlocks some of the most powerful rewards you can actually get in your superstar mode, and the influence pass grant rating boosts and abilities to your teammates, giving you a way to make those people around you a whole lot better. So if you have a receiver and you're like, this guy's kind of not great, maybe feed him the rock a little bit more, get his ratings up, and then all of a sudden he's much better. There's also a whole other cast of characters that are in superstar mode as this sphere of influence system is kind of introduced, and they're based on real life archetypes who you would not typically expect to find maybe in superstar mode, is maybe the best way to put it. Each of them is going to have a reward path that are just scattered with things that kind of give you exclusive rewards and maybe provide other opportunities to add to your inner circle as well. So you can find a tattoo artist and he can be unlocked in several different ways, and his reward path contains tattoos that you won't find anywhere else. There's even a sports psychologist in the game, and earning influence with her is a bit of a grind, but once you reach the top level, you are quote unquote in the zone, and this is going to give you max ratings for a game, vaulting you to a 99 overall. After the game, the influence resets and you start to grind all over again. There's also an all-new weekly activity system, and they're saying this is fully integrated with the sphere of influence. So every choice you make has a meaningful impact on your relationships and in turn your superstar. So your coaches, teammates, and other characters in your sphere of influence are going to react to your decisions, sometimes positively, other times negatively. And by engaging in certain activities, you can actually even unlock new people in your sphere of influence. I know this might sound like it's just a random list that they're giving you each week, but it's actually built on the things that you're doing in the game and in your career. There's also impacts to your wear and tear within this weekly activity system, so you have to really be careful what you choose to do, because that could have, again, something that could maybe take away your physical peak and maybe your career isn't as long as you want it to be. And then one of the other big features they have is called game day beats. So their hope here is that every week is going to feel different, that every week is going to have a purpose, and this won't just be sort of a menu mode that they're going to have anymore. Each week that you actually play in is going to deliver a unique story, and it's going to have dynamic gameplay and bespoke objectives that are coming directly from your coach. So are you a road underdog in the biggest game of your life, the Commanders beating the Lions in the playoffs, for example? Well, maybe you're facing a high-pressure blitz scheme when your reliable left tackle is missing due to an injury. We've all seen that weather system in Madden and it looks great, so what about a challenge of a snow game in Buffalo where you need to change your entire game plan to survive that one? This is going to be this kind of, think of it like a director that is giving you all these different things to make each season feel different and unique. And the key to the system is that it's an organically generated system that has themes based on the variables of your league, opponent, and your individual superstar. The weekly beat will make sense for your career, and they're saying that no two league playthroughs are ever going to be the same. EA says that every position has a unique set of game day beats with tailored objectives and modifiers that map to a role of your position. So as the chapters change and your superstar status evolves, you'll see new game day beats that you've never really seen before. All in all, there will be over 500 different game day beats at launch, and if they're saying at launch, that to me means that they're going to be adding to this throughout the course of the year. So a couple of examples of game day beats they have: Hot Pocket, which you would face a defense that relies on a relentless blitzing scheme; Shovels Out, a game played in heavy snow conditions; Jet Lagged, fight off the sluggishness of a cross-country road trip; Underdogs, face a top team in a game you were expected to lose; Break the Slump, you got to end a losing streak; Put in work, your QB2, and get a shot to play in the preseason. They also talk about how Superstar Live is going to be here, and they're bringing back Showdown, the human-controlled 3v3 squad mode that some of us have played, maybe not a lot of you have played, but they're having it be even more competitive with the addition of ranked divisions. But something I'm personally happy to see is that they are bringing back online minigames. So it's been 16 years we've actually seen this, and they're going to be bringing back competitive minigames in Superstar Live events. So you can take your superstar, you get to compete against other superstars in different skill-based games to see who can ultimately reign supreme, and you actually have rewards along this way as you play. And then they also drop a couple of nuggets where they say Superstar the League will see new content releases throughout the year. So they're talking about level cap increases, new abilities, and even new sphere of influence characters. To me, this was like a really good investment in Superstar mode, because I think the mode has had solid ideas, but I feel like these are some of the best ideas we've had for Superstar mode in a while. And when you couple that in with what they're doing with this sphere of influence system and the game day beats, and they're actually going to be bringing new content to Superstar mode, that gets me excited. With that being said, I've got more College Football 26 and Madden 26 news coming for you, along with tons of College Football 26 gameplay once that game drops. Be safe, be smart, tell somebody you love them. Catch you guys on the next one.